Park, and all of the kids just came out of chemistry, out of whatever, flipped classroom, and they're sitting in this physics class, and he's really, really, really smart, and he knows what he's talking about in terms of physics. And they're like, Dr. Boyer, can you just maybe record your lecture because I'm going to be gone, because I'm going to go on a college visit, and I don't want to have to come back and have to go after school and learn it. Maybe I could watch it while I'm on my iPod on the plane to go to the college visit or whatever. And so he started just in class when he's giving his lectures, just recording the PowerPoint, maybe recording some of the questions he could ask, and then they would be able to watch it if they were sick, if they were gone, and it really helped. And then that sort of developed into the same type of thing. You're like, oh, I have all these videos.
So here's this guy who's lectured forever. He's a PhD physicist. I mean, worked on Star Wars Initiative. He's teaching a high school physics class. I mean, he's the smartest guy you've ever met. Oh my gosh. And here he is, and the kids demand that he make videos. You've got to make these videos. Because you teach at such a high level, and he's a good teacher. He wants to do what's best for his kids. And so he just started recording his videos, and then that's a stepping stone. Now I've got the videos, oh, maybe I can start signing the videos at homework instead of doing the videos in class. He just recorded them with him sitting there in class. That was his first step. That's what Aaron and I did too. That was our first step. It's also just about interaction. We think that it's about the interaction. I talk to every kid, every class, every day. I think that just is such a powerful thing. Dan Spencer is a technology director in Michigan. He said this: we don't use tools for the sake of using tools, we use it when it's appropriate for the job at hand. So, you know, as you're all getting smart boards and all these kinds of things, that's great. What's the best use of the smart board? Okay. Ramsey Newsal, who does a website, flipteaching.com. Pedagogy must drive technology. Technology must not drive pedagogy. And I think I'll skip a couple. As I and Aaron have spoken all over, actually the world now, we just got back from Norway. It was pretty cool to go to Norway and speak to Norwegian educators. We've seen applications, like I told about the PE teachers, economics teachers, foreign language. We're seeing it K-12, college. It's happening not just, a lot of people say, well, this is just for science teachers. Well, we were just science teachers who came up with the idea, so there's a lot of science teachers doing it because that was our network. So, yeah. So we believe in learning. We think it's not about teaching, guys. It's about what your kids learn. I can teach it. Because I taught it, they didn't get it. Well, the question is, did they learn it? That's the question you should ask of your students. And then I think that teachers should be the chief learners. I really appreciated when Tasha just talked about just continuing that process of being a learner. I heard a speech by Marco Torres at the November Learning Conference this summer in Boston. And he says, you know what we need? He does some consulting work with hiring teacher leaders. He says, you know what we need? We need our teacher leaders, our principals, our administrators, we need them to be passionate learners. If they are not passionate learners, they're not the right person for the job. So and our school, my new school, is actually in the process of doing a search for a principal. And my #1 criteria is, are you a passionate learner? Are you a voracious learner? And I think we as teachers need to be the chief learners in the classroom. And it's just not about the videos. Okay? You can add inquiry into the classroom. It's about collaboration, personalization. You can personalize the education for each kid. Yes, even with 30 kids in a class, 6 classes a day, it can be done. It's customizable. So how we did it, I kind of told you how we did it. It's been so different and used in so many different ways by so many different teachers. It's unbelievable. We've got the economics teacher in the upper right-hand corner who's using it. This is cool. Economics. I'll tell you this one story. So economics, I don't know economics, okay? Very well. But he lets the kids pick the topic of the day. But he'll make a video the night before. So the night before he makes the video. The video is like supply and demand, an economics topic, right? And then they come in the next day. He's a teacher in Dallas. And he says, what do you want to talk about today? Well, it turns out the Dallas Mavericks, is the story he told us. The Dallas Mavericks had just won the NBA basketball championship. He said, we want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. He said, cool. How does that relate to last night's video? Well, last night's video was about supply and demand. Well, is there a supply of excellent basketball players? Is there a demand for them? How much should they get paid? So they just talked about supply and demand of basketball players. The next day, they talked about Facebook. He let the kids totally pick the topics, but then he made the conversation turn and talk about whatever the concept was they watched in the video the night before. Now, these are a lot of the pioneers of the flipped class on the screen. It's also been implemented school-wide. I want you to show, this is Greg Green. I got a chance to meet Greg this summer. And he's a principal in a suburb of Detroit with a school population of 70% free and reduced lunch, a struggling school. And I want you just to watch this short video of what he's done with the flipped class concept.
How can you let 52% of your students, 1 in every 2 students, fail in your English, math, and science class, and even 28% is too high for social studies? My name is Greg Green, and I am Colo High School principal and curriculum coordinator for grades 6 and 12. When we evaluated our failure rate last year from our freshmen, we found that in English language arts, our freshmen were failing at 52% rate. And in mathematics, they were failing at a 44% rate, science, 41% rate, and then social studies, 28% rate. And as a principal, it's just unconscionable to have that going on in the building.
To continue doing the same thing and think you're going to get a different result isn't going to work. So we sat down and we said we got to try something different.
Because we felt like the class time, was probably the most crucial time that we had with students.
We decided to flip it and try spending more time working with the students in class and having them get the lecture and the lessons at home.
This allows us to get more one-on-one time with them. I'm not speaking to a mass group.
By having homework done within class, we quadrupled the time that students and the teachers actually work together in going over and learning the information.
My name is Michael Allred. I came here when I was in 8th grade. Coming from Detroit public schools, it's real different.
Why'd you come from Detroit?
Yeah, last year, Mike Kwan was a freshman in the class, and he was struggling, and he'd have a problem, and say problem number 1 was difficult for him. He couldn't do it at home, so he would give up. So all of his homework was empty, was blank.
Well, now I'm sitting there, I can see his frustration, I can go help him, I can get him past number 1, now he can do 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got trouble with problem number 6 again, I can help him.
But the biggest surprise is the results. When we did go to the flip model, we had no failures, no one failed. There's a kid now, unfortunately, he doesn't go there anymore because he just was that far behind. He had to go to an alternative high school. But it was the only class he passed here in high school.
By reversing the instructional model, what we did is we actually seen a dramatic reduction in percentage of students who are failing. And in ELA, those percentages went from 52% to 19%. In math, we went from 44% to 13%. And in science, we went from 41% to 19%. And the social studies went from 28 to actually under 10%. And so what we've seen is a huge reduction in failure by reversing the instructional model, which doesn't cost any money. My name is Greg Green. I'm a principal. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And I'm using Camtasia Relay for my high school.
So he's flipping his whole school.